All right. Welcome everybody. Week six. Sure. Week six of the bets portion of Bets and Bullshit. Officially no longer Champions Corner because man, none of us are going to be champions anytime soon.
No.
Chewy, it's been a long time since you were a champion. Time since I was a champion. Harris, I think you could probably still taste maybe a little lingering taste of your couple championships, but
It's fading.
we I officially make it official. Champions Corner is dead. This is just talking about bets and bullshit. So yeah, that's how we're gonna roll from here on out.
I like it.
Makes sense.
And with that,
So does that mean that we can invite other people on this, or
Oh God, no, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
I mean, we could probably invite other people that may have been a champion once, but don't know what they're doing. Just like
and never spear?
right, and never spear.
hashtag never spear.
Well, I guess we'll just hop into it. We usually start with how we did on our picks, so we'll get to that.
And they
Hey, what? You're gonna owe two if you need to know that already.
okay.
I also owe two, and Carver was the worst this week with owing three. Both of you chose me to win. That was correct. I chose Chris because half I wanted to be different, and two, I just don't usually choose myself. Then we had Andy versus Carver, where both of you chose Carver. That was incorrect, and I chose Andy. So that made up for the last pick. We all took Prashan, and we all got very lucky by 1 point on that pick. And then we had Corey versus Harris, where Harris and I took Harris, and Carver took Corey and was incorrect. Even though Kelsey really tried to help Corey come back on that one.
Scared the shit out of me at the casino, man. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding. Is that 4? That's 4. And Jordan's like, what's wrong? And I told her what the bet was. All right, here's one of my 2 so far. This is for Carver losing.
Salud for me
So-
losing again.
Yeah. So I'll get mine in here in a second because I'll probably just pour a whole second another one into this glass because I'm just gonna do a lot at once and call it a day. So that was the Harris Corey pick, and then we all chose Bill, and Bill sucked.
Yeah,
Spear
he did.
beat him. Yeah, so sooner or later, things don't go right. And then we had Nielsen versus Richie, where Nielsen won, and we all chose him. So my incorrects were choosing Chris and Bill, and your Harris was Carver and Bill, and Carver's picks that were wrong were Carver, Corey, and Bill. And then Brashawn chose me, which was a tie because Matt and I tied, or Harris and I tied at 2 correct. That
Yep.
brings our weekly. So Brashawn won't owe anything because that's how I did it last week for once. I keep my lead 17 through 5 weeks. Correct. Harris is at 16 and Carver is now at 14.
Make up that ground, Carver.
Yeah,
I'm down by 3.
you're down by 3.
No problem.
And projections were at 18 as of when I recorded it for show prep. So we'll move on to the regular bets. Another good week of betting. We had 79, we'll call them participation, like things people were involved in. It worked out to 36 bets. We will just run into it. So we already talked about our weekly picks, and Brashawn choosing myself. He doesn't owe because of the tie. I rearranged the bet sheet already to show who it owes. So speaking to that,
So you fixed your mistake. I was gonna call you out on it.
yes, yeah, I caught that when I was working on it today. I was like, why the hell is that one backwards? So we got a couple bets. Andy had 4 bets this week. He lost 2 of them. The two he lost was a receiver bet with Gary. That's a weekly. It's a wine chug. So enjoy that that delicious wine, Andy. He also lost his defense bet with Special K. So he owes on that one. We then had Bill. He was in 4. He owes on 3, 2 of which are Waddle versus Hill with Special K. Unfortunately, Waddle, might be a little injured. Plus, every Dolphins quarterback seems to be getting hurt. So that's not going well. And then Bill also owes on his receivers versus Carver, where Bill's receiver somehow put up 3.8 because one of them got 0 points and the other one was Waddle. So he's not going well there, where Carver got almost 35 points. So Bill owes 2 there. He also owes down in the Tiger Beat bet, where he actually was, unfortunately, the lowest scorer with a 0 because Higgins played, I think, a half, did nothing, and then stopped playing or something like that. So Bill, you basically owe 4 shotter chugs, just an FYI. Then we get into Carver. Carver had 6 bets, lost 3 of them. So not great, not terrible.
I lost 2.
Oh,
That
wait, why isn't it corrected?
Because the Bill.
No, because you're in the world bet, Carver.
Yeah, you're Mats versus World. We lost.
What?
You guys lost.
What was the scores?
I'll get to that. That's part of this channel. That's a bet for later. Because it's listed as under Harris's, because he's the first one I wrote down. So Carver owes for tight end and kicker.
Oh, fuck, I'm drinking a lot more tonight than I thought I was. Here's a double for the 2 more for the weekly picks between us to get all 3 of those in.
Okay. So yes, your tight end bet with Richie that you already paid, and your kicker bet with me that you already paid. Then we move on to myself, where most of my bets were with Special K this week, except I had one with Gary, which was QB. I lost that one. And then of the fun wording Chris bet, I lost the flex, the defense, and the wide receiver 2. That totaled up to about 23 ounces. I've already paid that. So just to clarify, I did 13 bets. I only lost 4. So it worked out pretty well for me. Did not work out for Special K. Total point starters, we had a bet with Corey. I think it's Corey's only bet, and he lost it. It was with Harris. So the cool news is that is for the Dairy Queen cone card, which Harris lost. Harris had to do last year. It was entertaining to watch in person. Still good on video too, but you get to bite. You get to go to Dairy Queen, get yourself a dipped cone, take one delicious bite.
It's got to be large. Get
Large
the big one.
dip cone. Take one bite, enjoy that one bite as much as you want, and then grind the rest of it slowly into your forehead. It's a very entertaining card. So that's Corey. Enjoy that, Corey. You got about a week
Here's
and a half.
my second shot for the weekly picks.
Okay. Then we get into Gary. Gary is making quite a few bets this year, so that's really cool to see. Unfortunately, he's 0-5, so his team, he owes 4 of his bets this week. Not too bad for considering how his team has been doing. So they have been getting better as far as points scored. They're just not winning. So Gary owes for a defense bet with Carver. He owes for a running back bet with Bill. And he owes for a defense and kicker bet with Nielsen. Then we get down to, and Gary owes 1 for the Tiger Beat bet, where it finished Spear owes nothing for Chase's 8.5. Gary had 4.7, and poor Bill had a 0. So Bill owes 2 on that. Gary owes 1. Most of these bets were all shot chug, unless I said something otherwise. That gets us into Harris. Harris.
I'm back.
What?
I'm back, man. I'm back to losing.
Yep, sure are. You made 6 bets, lost 4 of them, so not great. Of those 4 that you lost your weekly bet with Gary that you pretty much probably will lose all the time, except for what, last week. That is Carr and Hertz versus Fields and Burrow. So you owe for that one. You owe for your tight end bet with Andy. You owe for Josh Jacob versus Jamal Williams with Spear. Those 2, of course, the tight end and the Jamal Williams ones you paid already. So we're good there. Then we get into Match versus the World, where I was not dealing with Special K's bullshit of waiting all week to join in on a bet where he was just hoping somebody would carry his shitty ass team. Because when a bet already involves 6 people, I'm not going to try in 24 hours to get all 6 people to agree to a new terms, you dumbass.
Slacker.
So the bet ended up being the 3 Mats versus Brashawn, Spear, and Richie, which the good news for the Mats was I let Richie in and took myself out because I don't really need the bets. Otherwise, you guys would owe a full beer each. Otherwise, it stands that you each only owe 4 ounces. This was worded as just a standard ounce diff, so you don't technically have to pay that in hard alcohol. Like Gary usually specifies his ounce differential bets with minimum of 4 ounces of hard. This one is not stated that way, so you guys can drink that however you want. But so yes, every mat owes 4 ounces. The total was Matt's 333.12 versus the world's 345.1.
Fucking
Richie
Spear.
World won. Richie kind of let them down. Spear carried them, whereas at least all the Mats scored over 100 points. But Richie was almost there. So if we're looking at Mats that let Mats down, it would be Harris.
Oh, it was me.
And then Richie let down the world, but world wins. So it's not really the same. Enjoy that, world. We'll show that bet will come at least one more time this season, if not a couple times. Maybe it'll end up being some weird average bet, so as many world people can participate as they want, because I don't know, some people are special.
I'm not smart enough to make that bet, so they have to figure it out, and he's not smart enough to make that bet. So yeah.
So I thought that Special K brought up a good point, or somebody did last time, where they said versus the world, right? So, and I put it in the chat and it just got completely ignored by everybody. But what if we let everybody from the world who wants to be in it, and then we just take the average of all of their scores? Like, had we let Chris be in it, we would have won, because his like 70 points would have brought their average down so low. We would have been good. So the 3 Mats took the average of our scores, and we take the average of anybody from the world, even if it's the rest of the league. We take the average of all their scores, and that way we can include more people, and it's more of like a actual versus the world rather than versus 3 other people.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm all for that. The thing is, the bet has to start that way.
I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just throwing it out there right now as henceforth, toot with, and all those fancy English old-timey words. It'll be like that going forward. All in favor?
I'll
No,
agree.
All opposed? Nobody? Motion passes.
Okay. Yeah,
Done.
yeah, I thought that was a good idea. I just was like, I wasn't dealing with it on a Saturday.
Next issue.
Anyway, moving on. That was all of Harris's losses. So
Hold on, pause. So I paid the 2 for the ones that I owed before. I paid the 3 for the
picks.
picks, and I owe 1 more for the Match versus the world, right?
You owe 4
4
ounces.
ounces.
4 ounces.
4 ounces.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of anything.
You can overpay by chugging something.
Well,
You know what you should do is just go middle of the road and chug 4 ounces of wine.
well, wine is gross.
I'm not saying it was a good choice. I'm just
All
look,
right.
everything I chug is garbage to me. So
I gotta go get one more chugger. Be right back.
and I will say chugging 4 of these like Four Peaks wow wheat things is not feeling great. So trying to not go chewy sauce on this year, but man, I don't know like how all that's at. Especially when you chug 2 of them at a time. All right, so while he goes, we'll keep talking because we don't got time to wait around. Moving on to probably the most lost bets this week, not percentage wise, because Corey only having 1 bet and losing 1 bet. That's 100%. Harris, by the way, you had 6 bet, lost 4. I think I might have actually said
Yeah.
that. Chris, the specialist of all of the Chris's, had 18 total bets this week and lost 13 of them. I also love my pure favorite is that he tries to word these bets to make them even worse. Then I still have to clarify it, and then he loses them. So my favorite of the bets he lost this week would be our total point starters. But if you lost by 20 or more, you double the amount of ounces you owe. I beat him by 50 points.
Oh, Jesus.
He
Wait,
owes
you double it by each increment of 20? So
no,
by
you just
50,
double
you're
it
like
once it's over
a
20.
double.
You just double it. So he owes 100 just for that bet alone. I did the math earlier today. I'll get through the rest of this because he owes ounces. Because then after that, we did line by line. I only lost 3 positions. And the only reason I owed 23 was his defense managed to score 24 points. Otherwise, the other 2 positions I lost was for 1 ounce and less than 3 ounces.
Have you added up the total ounces that he owes this week?
Yes. Well, the total ounces for me, yes. I can tell you it works out to all his
Liver failure.
all his bets, if you do all of them as shots, work out to like 19 beers, 12-ounce beers. Plus, he owes Gary a wine sake bomber combo where he's supposed to drop 2 ounces of sake into a wine and chug it if I wrote that bet right.
God.
Like, this is like Chris owes 20 plus drinks this week, basically. Like, it is bad. So let's get into that because that is the most entertaining thing. So the other bets Chris lost, just all the bets Chris lost. Adams versus Hill. It's a weekly. So he technically lost 2 bets because we had a wide receiver versus wide receiver bet. So I wisely just put Adams versus Hill so that 2 bets had the same result. So he lost Adams versus Hill 28 to like 10. He lost his total point starter bet with Andy, his non-light beer chug that's apparently a craft beer, something. We all knew what he was talking about, or Andy knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Whatever, that bet. He also lost Hill versus Hollywood Brown with Matt. That's a shot or a chug. Gary beats Brashawn with Brashawn. He lost that for a shot or a chug. Cup versus Debo. He lost that. Total point starters, Gary and Chris. Wine plus 2 ounces of sake. If I remember this correctly. Because I only wrote wine plus sake.
He's doing a
Total
sake
point-
bomb with wine. Oh, God.
Well, so the good news is sake is basically rice wine. So it's basically wine and wine. It's not.
Oh, I thought I read that it had to be a Merlot.
Well, the sake is wine. Sake
Right.
is
I
rice
think-
wine, but you
I
got
think
to
he has to drop the sake in a Merlot.
Gary can comment, or he's kind of, I don't know. I just remember wine plus sake, but if it's Merlot, I'll double check. I don't remember it.
Oh no, I'm 100% making that up. I just think
Oh,
it would be easy if you drop that rice wine into like a Pinot Grigio, but it'd be a
Right.
lot harder if he's dropping that sake into a mermaid.
Also, what did he call that? Like he just did a video where he
Peanut
drank
gringo.
Yeah,
Peanut gringo.
peanut gringo. Yeah. So,
I
okay,
commented
so
on
those
that. It was
are,
great.
so then we already mentioned his total start bet with me where he now owes 100 ounces just for that. He then lost the QB bet with me, the tight end, the running back, two, the wide receiver one, the running back one. Don't know why these are in funny orders, and the kicker bet. All those ounce bets plus the total starters adds up to 171.8.
Oh my God.
So basically 172 ounces. That is, I think it is 13, 12 ounces, 12 ounce beers, and a 16 ounce beer will pay that. You'll have to double do the math, whatever. So right there, he owes 14, like mathematically, if you were dividing by 12, that is 14.33 drinks. I did the math earlier. His bets just with me, 4 ounces is that, plus the other ones listed before this.
Whew. Hey, Special K, how much PTO you got, buddy?
So I'm going to bring this up because I mentioned that I was going to beat his bet total from last year and try to make sure I beat him in bets this year, right? He responded to that with the most specialist K thing I've ever heard, and that this year he wants the most ounces done. But to do that, you have to lose the bets.
Well, he's doing a good job.
Hey, and I
He's doing a
did
great job.
the bet that I lost to Spear last year was like over 300 ounces just for that one bet.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Trey Sermon.
Trey Sermon and Javonte Williams versus Jamar Chase. Where the fuck is Jamar Chase now? How come he wasn't doing what he's doing last year? Whatever. Hey, here's the 4 ounces. That's actually 12 ounces. Chugged.
There you go. All right. So show wise, we're all paid off. Let me mark Carver down just to get that over with. Because that would be
I'll probably do my my Gary quarterback bet here while we're recording. You know, behind the scenes on the set of Bets and Bullshit.
yeah. Well, you also owe those 4 ounces, so don't forget that.
Yeah, that'll happen. I have a mics here, so that'll happen.
Cool. All right. So that was the most entertaining of bets for the week, which was Special K's 13 out of 18 lost.
And those are all due before Sunday kickoff of the 10 a.m. game.
10 a.m.
Correct. So if you call it about 20 beers and he hasn't started, he has 5 days. Less than 5 days.
So four beer chugs a night.
Yeah.
That's like a walk in the park for Chris.
Yeah, that's not a big deal when you do it that way. But it's Chris, so he's gonna do something really stupid like Friday night.
He's like, I'll do all the ounces in Fireball.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. He did at one point talk about that he didn't want to do hard alcohol, but because of the way bets were going, he decided to go out and buy, I don't know, probably the equivalent of 99 bananas, but just Fireball. Like,
Well,
just-
there was one time last year, I looked at all the timestamps of the videos. He did like 4 Mick Ultra chugs and 11 Fireball shooters in like 2.5 hours. It's like, I don't understand how this man still has a liver.
Yeah.
he's your age, right, Harris? Or is he younger?
No, he's young. He's Jordan's age, 2 years younger than me.
Okay. So low 30s, like 33, 4?
33.
3. Okay. All right. So we only have 3 bets left after talking about Special K's disaster. That is Nielsen was in 3 bets. He lost 2 of them. Wait. Oh yeah. Because he was part of the world and he lost to Carver for running backs. And then lastly, we have Richie owes 2 out of his 4 bets, where he lost to Brashawn in a wide receiver 1-2-3 bet, and a wide receiver 1-2 bet with Gary. So that's how we roll out here. Two people, though, amazingly, to give some props. Brashawn, 5 bets, 0 lost. Spear, 3 bets, 0 lost. Not as impressive because Brashawn's already better than you, Spear. Deal with it. Plus, you can't play the race card, so not important at all.
That's true. Wakanda forever.
So that's our bets. Just so you know, we already talked about that. This was another good week for bets. In fact, it was our second highest other than rivalry week. Totals for the year through 5 weeks, not including anything other than the first 5 weeks preseason and any season long. I am already at 86 bets this year. Harris is at 59. Special K has now moved into third with 52. If he survives this week, depending on how he decides to do the drinking, we'll see where he finishes. Carver and Gary are now tied at 50. So just, you know, you had that 15 bet lead. Gary's also in like 3 weekly bets at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's just covered for the season. And then from there on, we have Brashawn at 30, Richie at 25, Corey at 19, Andy 18. Spear is dropped to third from the bottom at 16, followed by his cousin at 14, and then Nielsen down at 10. So unfortunately, that season long, even with trying to throw that guy some bets, probably still going to be a loss. That moves us back to our weekly picks. Moving on to this week. We're going to start with mine because I'm doing this stupid part of the show. So Spear versus me. Spear is, of course, projected to win. Also, good thing to note, it is the start of bye weeks. So some people may or may not have adjusted their lineup for bye weeks. I have written down the projected winners as it is standing sometime before the show, with at least one asterisk because I looked at who hadn't adjusted their lineup for bye weeks. So, Carver, I'm going to start with you because you said you were never going to choose me, and then quickly changed it to choosing me correctly. It was correct.
Yeah.
So where are you going this week? Because I think it's easy.
I don't know who you're playing, but I'm not
just told you.
choosing you. I'm not choosing you. I was not paying attention.
Okay. It
Not,
is Spear.
not you.
You chose Spear.
Yep. I'm choosing Spear as well.
So did I. I'm projected to be
Yeah,
the lowest
that's unheard of.
team this week. So it's not looking good for me. All right, that moves us on to Andy versus Special K. I chose Andy.
I'm choosing Andy.
Yep. I think that since we actually are trying to beat each other this year, we're gonna have much more
Close weeks there, huh?
yeah.
Same week.
Yeah. I did one, I think that's possibly against the grain so that I could try to make up ground, but we'll see how that works out.
All right. Well, yeah, I have at least one of those this week too. I made a mistake a couple weeks ago with that, but we'll see. So that moves us to Richie, projected to beat Gary. Harris, where you stand on this one? Do you think Gary finally moves to 1-5 or 0-6?
You know what? I'm calling it upset this week. I'm gonna say Gary gets the first win of his season this week.
Oh, that's interesting. Carver, where do you stand on that?
Ooh, that right there, my friend, is a precursor, a little teaser for a bets and bullshit. In the bullshit version. I don't know. Again, I'm really distracted. For some reason, I'm feeling drunker than usual. I don't know who's Gary's playing, but I didn't write his name down on my sheet, so I choose the other.
Okay, you are choosing Richie. I also went
Oh,
with Gary.
I
actually.
choose the handsomer brother. Gotcha.
Yeah. Harris and I both chose Gary. The last time I did this, that was a mistake. But I don't know. It's not a big projection difference between the two, so it should be interesting. All right, I put an asterisk next to this one. Nielsen versus Corey. Currently, Corey is projected to beat Nielsen. The problem with this is that Matt has 2 people on bye week.
Yep.
So it comes down to a couple things. One, he has to put in the right players. He does have a tight end on his bench, so he doesn't have to pick anyone up. But one of the other players, he will have to pick somebody up. So
If he just switches the tight end, if he
just
just
the tight end.
if
Right,
he just
so-
switches the tight end, he's projected to win.
I have put an asterisk next to. I've actually put it as Nielsen is projected to win because if he sets his lineup at all with people playing, he will be projected to win. I say, Harris, you go first because I have not made my mind up on that.
I say, Harris, you go first.
God damn it.
Yeah, this one's close. I might just choose against
So
you.
so I'm gonna pick Nielsen because I like his running backs more than I like Corey's right now. So I'm picking
Right.
Nielsen.
Carver.
I think Dahmer kills Corey.
Oh, see, I didn't choose anyone.
Well, then you lose because somebody will.
Yeah. Well, so this is one of those ones where I could go against you guys to be different. But I won't. I'll go with Nielsen. All right. Now it moves us on to Rashawn versus Bill, where Rashawn is actually projected to be the highest scoring player this week, barely outscoring Andy, but noticeably projected to beat Bill. I took Rashawn. Carter, who do you take?
B-I-L-L. Boo.
Interesting.
That
Harris.
was my one where I'm trying to make up ground.
I see.
All right, I'll take B then.
B, which B?
Rashawn. The
Yeah.
one that's known as B.
The only one we abbreviate because it's hard to spell and complicated.
Rashawn.
Lastly, very interesting because it is the matchup of the 2 Matts on this show. Harris versus Carver. With Carver, Harris, you are not doing that very well. Carver is projected to win. I don't remember by how much.
By like 3 points or something like that.
Yeah, it's close.
Dominating.
I'm projected 102.94. He's projected 105.34.
Hey, you've got the
Oh.
better record. You've got the more points.
I've been super lucky with people sucking when they play me. So
Yeah, this one's interesting because even I haven't made a pick on it.
I'm picking myself.
Which seems fair because
What a
technically
narcissist.
it's said by the guy that said he was going to pick himself every week for the rest of the show. So is that changing?
No, I'm picking me.
Check it
How
out.
dare you?
So I have to look this over and split it, and it is close. The downside is like Carver gets Stevenson, where Harris might be out. So like he's got just a full guy for
Harris, are you out?
I'm out.
I win.
Sorry, Damian Harris, but I don't want to do first names because I usually get them wrong and pronounce them bad. It really is close. Like looking at your teams, like which one to expect to do
Yeah.
anything better.
Yeah. We're both super mediocre to bad.
So mediocre.
I think for the sheer fact of how much I dislike choosing Carver, I will take Harris.
Yes, I'm making up ground on 2 games this week.
There you go. There's 2 grounds where Carver is different. So for the listeners who want to make picks,
What do you-
Harris is gonna do a drink for a bet, so he's gonna record it on his own phone while I
Yeah.
keep talking.
Is this one of those like infinite loop pictures where it's
Yep.
a video and a picture and a video and a picture?
All right, Gary, you beat me in the quarterback weekly bet.
Also,
And
he's so
behind the
good at
scenes
this,
of
he
bets
doesn't
and
mute
bullshit,
himself so that it gets
right
copied
now.
into 2 videos.
Oh my goodness.
Good job, Harris, on muting yourself for recording another video. Anyway, for the listeners, here this is how it's gonna work.
Well done, Matthew. Well done.
Turns out, Carver, you were actually differing on 3 games this week. So
So I'm gonna be tied for the lead, basically, is what you're saying.
yeah, you could make up all the ground. So here's the interesting thing, listeners. Harris and I made exactly the same picks. Harris and I both chose Spear to beat myself, Andy to beat Special K, Gary to beat Richie, Nielsen to beat Corey, Rashawn to beat Bill, and Harris to beat Carver. Where Carver differs is he chose Richie to beat Gary, Bill to beat Rashawn, and Carver to beat Harris. So those are the 3 different games. It's the Richie Gary game, the Bill Rashawn game, and the Carver Harris game.
So I have to be the first person this year to go 6-0, and then I'll be tied for the lead.
And that reminds me, I need to do a drink for Rashawn picking me. So I will actually have to go get another drink, but that is the bets video. So any listeners that want to pick it, I'll do the drink in the next video because it's all recorded the same. It's not a big deal. Anything else, guys, for the bets?
I don't think so. I'm good. Harris, are you good?
I'm good, man. I'm probably gonna issue my foe this week a card bet because I'm 2-0, I think, on cards right now. So
Oh, speaking of that, Chewy, I forgot. What is the statute of limitations on when Richie and I have to have our golf game scheduled?
I think I have to go back and watch one of the videos because realistically, I think scheduled, it was either due Thursday or it's due next Thursday. Like, but because that one is more complicated than most, I kind of just winged it for that video. Like it should have been written like Gary. I think Gary did the karaoke one, right? So like you submitted it, so you could probably kind of modify it. But like Gary was the one that put in the karaoke bet that gave you till the Super Bowl to do it. Like all these bets have to be paid by the Super Bowl. That your caddy
karaoke's happening on November 18th, though.
right. I do need to go write down that some of these have been done or assigned to people. But hey, he muted himself. How smart all of a sudden. It's like somebody yelled at him for it.
That's dumb. I want to hear
Yeah.
the double voices.
Just watch his actual video. But yeah, that one, there's no way to get it done in time. So try to get something scheduled in like the next week or 2. Like you have to get it. Honestly, I think you need to try to caddy it by the Super Bowl. Like it's a football league, a fantasy football league. All the
Good.
bets need to be ideally paid by Super
Done.
Bowl. Okay. We set our other card bet for the 18th of November, not
Yep.
October. And then the only other card bet on the table was the Dairy